Welcome to the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, where high-achieving, goal-oriented rebel women come to learn how to live a vibrant and fulfilling life without requiring alcohol to get through it. No labels, no judgments, no saying you'll never drink again. Just real proven methods to help you stop rebelling against yourself with alcohol so you can drink less and do more. I'm your host, Angela Mascenik. Let's dig in. Welcome to episode 309, What to Do When You Feel Like Giving Up. Well, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. I just want to thank you all for coming in every week and listening to the podcast. I love you guys. And thank you for giving me a creative outlet to share some deeper insights to figuring out this stop over drinking thing and start living. I really appreciate you. Thank you. It's been a great year again with the podcast, and I'm really excited about what's coming next year as well. So just wanted to say that before we dive into today's topic. I'm not sure if you felt like this before, but I have when you feel like giving up, especially when I was working on my drinking. You know, before I joined a life coaching program that ultimately led me to, figure out my relationship with alcohol and do all of that internal work to decide that, I didn't want alcohol or need alcohol in my life anymore. I felt like giving up a lot of the time. Like there was a lot of stops and starts and a lot of efforts and a lot of like, this isn't working for me. And I did that for about 20 years, And so I want to talk about that because you might feel like that. Maybe you had big goals for 2024. And maybe you're working on it, actively working on reducing how much you're drinking or taking a break. And it can feel very sloggy sometimes and like you're dragging your feet through mud and you're not making as much progress. And I just want you to know that it's 100% normal. Okay. I recently felt like I was giving up, like I wanted to give up. I hurt myself on my Cancun retreat that I just hosted last week. And when I got home from that retreat, I just felt like canceling the rest of the week and just like giving up for the rest of the year. Like my mind just kind of spun out for a little bit. And what I did was just let myself rest for a whole day and knew that how I was feeling was temporary. And I knew that I would feel better soon. And I just kind of let myself be there for a minute. And I didn't make any decisions from that place. So that's tip number 1. When you're feeling like giving up, don't make any decisions to actually give up. Just acknowledge how you're feeling. Okay. It's not a sign of something wrong with you. There's not something wrong with you that you feel like you don't have motivation all the time. You're not having all these big wins. You're a human being and it's not a sign of weakness. Okay. So a lot of times we feel like giving up because we might be burnt out or overwhelmed. Maybe you feel like you're putting in all this effort and you're not getting the results that you want. That's a common sign or a common place where people feel like they just want to give up and toss in the towel. Another area is when they stop believing that they're capable of achieving this, right? So if you've been at it for a while, you might have some self-doubt, especially if you've had a recent failure. If you've had a recent overdrink, this can cause you to doubt what you're doing and your capabilities. And so you might be more in the zone of feeling like giving up when you're in that place. Another area is a lack of immediate results. So if you've been working at it and you feel like you should be further along than you are, and it's taking too long, and you want things to be changed really fast, that's another area where you got to be careful because if you're there, you might want to give up. And then finally, the other one that you really want to watch out for is the comparison trap. So feeling like you're behind other people's progress. And that can be tricky if you're in like a group coaching program or you have friends or other people that are working on this with you or together. It's very common and part of human nature to compare ourselves to others, but really you have to remember that everybody's on their own journey. Everybody has different triggers and different histories and different ways of dealing with things. And so it's really important to stay in your own lane and not get yourself in that comparison trap. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of highlight some of those things. So those are some of the reasons why we feel like giving up. So if you fall into one of those buckets, we want to start to shift that perspective. So first of all, like I said, when I first started talking about this on the podcast, is you want to normalize this feeling of giving up. I kind of call it deflated or defeated. You just feel like like the air is just out of your sails. Like you had a balloon inside of you that was kind of light and like motivated, and now it's just like an empty sack. Okay. It's absolutely normal. So when you feel that way, you just want to recognize that. And when you feel that way, it's normal to want to quit because you don't have the energy and the natural motivation in that moment to keep going forward. But that's where we don't want to make decisions. Remember, we don't want to say, I'm quitting, or this isn't working, or sort of make big claims or take big action when we're feeling that way. What we want to do is just normalize that feeling, process that feeling, journal, get coaching, get support, talk to somebody, reach out. That's really what we want to do, and interrupt this automatic behavior. When you feel like giving up, that's when you want to reach your hand up for help. Okay. Connect with yourself, connect with your journal, but don't make big decisions from this place. And if you can, decide, even though I'm feeling like giving up on this, I'm not going to drink today, because that is going to add fuel to the fire. The other thing you want to remember is why. Why did you start working on this in the first place? The reason why you're feeling deflated or, like you want to give up is because you don't like where you are. It's just really important for you to remember. So remember why you started working on this in the first place, and maybe go journal about that. Okay. You don't like how this feels, right? And so you don't want to quit from this place. You just want to get back and shift your perspective a little to remembering why that you're doing this work in the first place. And then the other thing you want to remember is some past wins that you've had. So highlighting the importance of the work that you have done and some small victories that you've recently had, to not let your brain tell you a story that's all sort of a big failure story. Okay, so remember your past wins, focus on the reasons why you started doing this work in the first place. Okay, how you'll feel if you don't quit, right? How proud of yourself you'll feel when you get to where you want to be with your relationship with alcohol, and what it does for your psyche when you can feel this way and not give up. Okay, that's really motivating for us. If I can feel this way right now and not give up on myself, I have my own back, and I can trust myself that I'm still worth doing this work for. Okay, so the biggest thing you want to do is recognize that you're feeling this way again. Pause, stop, notice, and process. Step back, right? It's like that the Viktor Frankl quote that says the power between the stimulus and response, the space between the stimulus and response is where your power lies. Okay, so the stimulus is this feeling of giving up. Okay, and then there's action that you can take from that feeling. If you can pause there and notice and breathe and process that through, this is where your power is, because then you can decide what you can do that's not an automatic response to this feeling of giving up. Your brain will want you to do the easiest and most pleasurable thing possible without putting much energy. And that thing might be drinking, if that's your go-to when you feel this way. But your power is in recognizing you feel like giving up, noticing that, breathing through that, and then deciding, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to break this pattern. And so what can I do that actually would be helpful for me, that would be really easy today? So you want to make something as easy as possible. Okay. What's the next small thing that I can do here? Maybe it's just to go drink a glass of water. Maybe it's just to go outside for 5 minutes and get some fresh air and change of scenery. Maybe it's just to go reach out for help if you're in one of my coaching groups. Maybe it's to share with your spouse or your partner how you're feeling. Just verbalizing that you feel like giving up, but that you don't want to, is super, super powerful. Okay. Seeking support. All right. Use this as a learning opportunity for yourself. Look at how you maybe have given up on yourself in the past, or how many stops and starts that you've had, and be like, you know what? This is my pattern. Things feel hard. I feel like giving up and then I quit. So what if I don't do that this time? And you reframe this, what we're calling a setback or a feel like giving up period, and say, what am I trying to learn here? What am I supposed to be paying attention here? Right? And journal about that and see what comes up for you. All right. And then we just get back going. Remember that this feeling is temporary. If you can be with this feeling and take one small thing, one small action step to take, you will probably move out of it in a day or two. Maybe you're just tired. Maybe you need a small win to get your motivation and your confidence back up. So give yourself an opportunity to have a small win. Like, the only 3 things I'm going to do today is I'm going to drink 64 ounces of water. I'm going to move my body for 15 minutes and I'm going to be in bed by 10 p.m. If I can do those 3 things, I'm going to celebrate myself tomorrow. So those are the very simple steps that we're talking about here. So I hope that helps you. I know that this is a normal feeling. I feel like it constantly, not constantly, but there's a lot of times, I have a lot of things going on and complicated things and kids and a business to run and clients. And, I want to give up a lot of times because it's normal, right? It's hard to do what we're doing. And it's hard to change your habits when you have a complicated life going on. A lot of you have kids and elderly parents or going through big life changes right now. And you're also trying to figure out your relationship with alcohol. And so it can all feel very overwhelming. And this is a very normal feeling to have. I can't tell you how many times I've said, I just want to shut it all down, sell everything, and run away to Mexico. That is a very common thread in my mind. But I recognize when that is. And that's usually because I just need to take a break, or I need to have a little bit more downtime, or I need to slow down, right? It's not because I actually need to give up or to change anything. So that could be another question you can ask yourself. When you feel like giving up and throwing in the towel on doing this work and changing your relationship with alcohol, put your hand on your chest and say, what is it that I actually need right now? And listen to yourself, and then take that next small step. I love you all. And remember, December 15th is the last day to get your application in for the early bird pricing for the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living coaching program. So make sure you click through that link, get your applications in, and get that early bird discount. All right, my friends, we'll talk to you next week. Bye.